Tomorrow morning, China stops selling to America. No products, no parts, no materials, nothing. Your phone? Dead within a year. No replacement parts. Your medicine? Pharmacies run empty within months. Your car? Good luck fixing it. Sounds extreme? It's not. This is how connected we are. Americans think China is the enemy, but here's what they don't tell you. America needs China, desperately. Not for politics, not for friendship, for survival. This isn't politics. This is reality. Let me show you why China matters more than you think. Walk into any American store, Walmart, Target, Amazon warehouse. Pick something up. Check the label. Made in China. Made in China. Made in China. It's everywhere. Clothes, furniture, toys, electronics, tools, even the American flags. Yeah, China. $500 billion. That's how much America buys from China every single year. That's more than $1 billion a day, every day, for decades. But it wasn't always like this. 50 years ago, America made its own stuff. Factories in Detroit, textile mills in Carolina, furniture plants in Virginia, Americans making things for Americans. Then something changed. Companies discovered they could make things cheaper somewhere else. China had 1 billion workers. They'd work for a fraction of American wages. The math was simple. One by one, American factories closed. The jobs went overseas. The buildings went dark. Meanwhile, in China, those same factories were being built. Bigger, faster, more efficient. Today, China makes more stuff than any country on earth. 30% of all global manufacturing. One country. America used to make things. Now America buys things. And the seller? Almost always China. That TV in your living room? Chinese factory. The couch you're sitting on? Chinese factory. The lamp next to you? Chinese factory. Americans are surrounded by China every day. They just don't realize it until it stops coming. But stuff is just the beginning. China's grip on America goes much deeper, into something Americans don't like to talk about. Debt. Here's something most Americans don't know. When the U.S. government needs money, it doesn't print it. It borrows it. And guess who's lending? China holds over $800 billion in U.S. Treasury bonds. That makes them one of America's biggest creditors. How did this happen? It starts with trade. America buys Chinese products with dollars. Those dollars pile up in China. Trillions of them. Now China has a problem. What do you do with trillions of American dollars? You can't just stuff them under a mattress. The answer? Lend them back to America. Buy U.S. Treasury bonds. Safe investment, steady returns, and suddenly America owes you money. This created a strange relationship. America buys Chinese stuff. China lends America the money to keep buying. Round and round it goes. Some people call this mutually assured economic destruction. Both countries are so tied together that neither can walk away without hurting themselves. If China suddenly sold all those bonds, the dollar would crash. Interest rates would explode. America's economy would spiral. But here's the twist. China can't actually do that. Because if America crashes, who buys all that Chinese stuff? Nobody. China needs America to stay rich enough to keep shopping. America needs China to keep lending. They're stuck with each other. This might sound stable. It's not. Because there's a third player in this game that most people forget about. Taiwan. If China invades Taiwan, America has promised to respond. That response could include freezing Chinese assets, all $800 billion. We saw this happen to Russia. After Ukraine, Western countries froze $300 billion in Russian assets. China watched very carefully. Now China is slowly reducing its U.S. bond holdings, not selling everything, just quietly moving money elsewhere, diversifying. This financial relationship keeps both countries in check. But it's not about friendship. It's about survival and leverage. Money ties America to China. But there's something even more critical, something most Americans have in their medicine cabinet right now. Open your medicine cabinet, that bottle of ibuprofen, those antibiotics from last winter. Check where they're made. Most won't say China directly. They'll say made in America or Europe. But that's only half the story. The pill might be pressed in New Jersey, but the ingredients inside, The active pharmaceutical compounds, 90% come from overseas, mostly China and India. This wasn't always the case. In the 1990s, America and Europe made most of their own pharmaceutical ingredients. It was a matter of national security. Then the same thing happened that happened with everything else. Companies realized China could do it cheaper, much cheaper, so they moved. Today, China produces 90% of the world's antibiotics. 90%. Almost all the penicillin on Earth comes from Chinese factories. Blood thinners like heparin, China. Insulin for diabetics, mostly China. The vitamins in your morning routine? You already know the answer. In 2008, contaminated heparin from China killed 81 Americans. 81 people dead because of tainted blood thinner from one factory. After that crisis, people asked, shouldn't we make this stuff ourselves? The answer from drug companies was basically, no, too expensive. Then came COVID. Suddenly, the whole world needed medical supplies at once. Masks, ventilators, medicine. And there was only one factory. China did something smart. They kept supplies for themselves first. Chinese citizens got masks and medicine. Everyone else waited in line. American hospitals ran out of basic supplies. Nurses wore garbage bags. Doctors reused masks for weeks. The richest country on earth couldn't get what it needed. After COVID, politicians promised to bring pharmaceutical manufacturing back to America. 3 years later, almost nothing has changed. Medicine keeps people alive. And right now, keeping Americans alive depends on Chinese factories staying open. But there's something even scarier. The technology that runs everything. Pick up your phone. That little device in your pocket has more computing power than the machines that send astronauts to the moon. And it runs on something you've probably never thought about. Semiconductors. Tiny chips smaller than your fingernail. They're inside everything. Your phone, your car, your refrigerator, your toaster, everything. America invented the semiconductor. Bell Labs, 1947. American engineers changed the world. But here's the problem. America doesn't make them anymore. Taiwan makes most of the world's advanced chips. One company, TSMC. If that company stops, every tech company on Earth has a problem. Now here's where China comes in. Taiwan is 90 miles from mainland China, and China says Taiwan belongs to them. They've never stopped saying it. If China takes Taiwan, they control the chips. Every American company needs permission from Beijing to get the technology that runs their products. But it's not just chips. There's something even more fundamental. Rare earth elements. Never heard of them? You should have. These 17 elements are essential for modern technology. Electric car batteries, wind turbines, missile guidance systems, MRI machines. None of them work without rare earths. Guess who controls 60% of rare earth mining and 90% of processing? China. They spent decades building this monopoly while nobody was watching. In 2010, China had a dispute with Japan over some islands. Their response? Cut off Japan's rare earth supply. Overnight. No warning. Japan's electronics industry panicked. Prices for rare earths multiplied by 10. That was just one country for a few months. Imagine if China did it to everyone. America noticed. The Pentagon started asking uncomfortable questions. What happens to our fighter jets if China cuts off rare earths? What happens to our missiles? An F-35 fighter jet needs over 900 pounds of rare earth elements. Every single one of America's advanced weapons depends on materials that China controls. America is trying to build alternatives. New mines in California and Texas. But building a supply chain takes decades. China has a 30-year head start. And then there's batteries, electric cars, energy storage, portable electronics. Lithium-ion batteries power all of it. Guess who makes 77% of them? Chips. Rare earths. Batteries. China doesn't just make stuff. They control the stuff that makes stuff. And that's real power. The kind that can't be ignored. So America depends on China. China depends on America. Sounds like a perfect partnership, right? It's not. These two countries genuinely don't like each other. Americans see China as a threat. A communist government stealing jobs, stealing technology, building military power. Polls show 70% of Americans view China negatively. Chinese see it differently. They see America as a bully, a fading superpower trying to keep China down, interfering in their backyard, threatening their rise. Both sides have a point. Both sides are also exaggerating, but the distrust is real, and it's getting worse. 2018, President Trump launched a trade war, tariffs on $300 billion of Chinese goods. The idea was simple: punish China, bring jobs back home. China hit back immediately. Tariffs on American soybeans, American cars, American whiskey. Farmers in Iowa started losing their biggest customer. The trade war lasted years. Both sides lost money. Both sides lost jobs. And at the end, America was still just as dependent on China as before. Biden kept most of Trump's tariffs, added new ones. Both parties agree on almost nothing except this: China is the enemy. But the dependency? Nobody knows how to fix it. Some say we should decouple completely, cut all ties, bring everything back home. But economists say that would cost trillions and take decades. The supply chains built over 40 years can't be rebuilt overnight. You can't just move factories to Vietnam or Mexico. The infrastructure doesn't exist. And here's the uncomfortable truth nobody wants to admit. America needs Chinese consumers too. 1 billion people getting richer every year. That's a market no company wants to lose. Apple makes 1/3 of its revenue in China. Tesla's second biggest market? China. Hollywood changes movies to please Chinese censors. The money is too good to refuse. So politicians give angry speeches about China. Then American companies quietly keep doing business there. It's theater. The economic reality hasn't changed. China knows this. They've watched America threaten and then back down for years. They're patient. They can wait. America thinks in 4-year election cycles. China thinks in 50-year plans. That patience is a weapon America doesn't have an answer for. This tension isn't going away. If anything, it's building, which raises a terrifying question. What happens if it boils over? Let's talk about the future. Not predictions, scenarios. The paths this relationship could take. Some are manageable, some are terrifying. Scenario 1, the best case. Both countries keep trading, keep competing, keep distrusting each other, but never cross the line into real conflict. This is what most experts hope for. A new Cold War. Tense, competitive, but nobody shoots. The world stays divided but functional. Scenario 2, economic war. Not military conflict, but weaponized trade. Sanctions, export bans, financial attacks. Both economies bleed. We've seen previews of this. America banned Huawei. China restricted rare earth exports, each side testing what the other can tolerate. Full economic war would make 2020 look like a minor inconvenience. Imagine everything from China stopping at once. Shelves empty within weeks. Scenario 3, the one that keeps Pentagon generals awake at night. Taiwan, a real war, bullets, ships, maybe worse. China has said for 70 years that Taiwan will be reunited with the mainland, by force if necessary. Most experts think they're serious. America has promised to defend Taiwan, ambiguously. We've never said exactly what we do, but we've sent weapons, we've sent warnings. China noticed, if shooting starts over Taiwan, it won't stay there. Every computer chip supply stops. The stock market crashes. The global economy goes into freefall. And that's assuming it stays conventional. Both countries have nuclear weapons. The unthinkable becomes thinkable when great powers fight. Nobody wants this. Not really. American generals don't want it. Chinese generals don't want it. But wars have started before when nobody wanted them. World War I started because of an assassination nobody expected to matter. Small sparks can create big fires when the conditions are right. Today there are American and Chinese ships passing within feet of each other in the South China Sea. Pilots flying close enough to wave. One mistake is all it takes. This is the world we live in now. Two giants tied together by economics, pushed apart by politics. Neither can live without the other. Neither trusts the other. So after everything we've covered, the stuff, the money, the medicine, the tech, the tension, the future, what's the verdict? Is China actually important for America? Is China important for America? That's like asking if oxygen is important for breathing. It's not a question anymore. It's a fact. Every product in your home, every dollar your government borrows, every pill in your medicine cabinet, China is already there. Americans can hate this. They can vote against it. They can demand change. But they can't pretend it isn't real. This didn't happen by accident. American companies chose this. American consumers chose this. Cheaper prices, bigger profits. Nobody asked what the cost would be. Now America's stuck, tied to a country it doesn't trust, dependent on a rival. There's no quick fix, no easy answer. Decoupling would take decades and cost trillions. Staying coupled means depending on someone who might become your enemy. Both options are terrible. But here's what most people miss. China is just as stuck as America. They need American customers, American technology, American dollars. Without America buying their products, millions of Chinese workers lose their jobs. Without American investment, Chinese companies struggle to grow. This is the strange truth. Two countries that don't like each other, keeping each other alive. Enemies who can't afford to fight. Some call it mutually assured economic destruction. If one falls, they both fall. That's not friendship, but it might be peace. So is China important for America? It's the most important economic relationship on Earth. Nothing else comes close, whether Americans like it or not, whether politicians admit it or not. This is reality, and reality doesn't care about feelings. The question isn't whether China matters, it's what America does next. That part is still unwritten. The question isn't whether China matters, it's what America does next. That part is still unwritten. Thanks for watching. If this made you think, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.